Hey, good afternoon. Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties, but welcome to a Q&A session with me, Elle Martinez from Couple Money. And today's topic is how to pay off your debt faster as a couple. And that is vital. It kind of goes without saying, but a lot of couples I know for the next year, they want to get rid of their debt. It's something that's been on their minds for a long time, but they don't know, one, how to focus their energies because there's so much to do. They might have many debts like credit cards, student loans, car loans, so forth. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover three major areas. I'm going to give you the steps so you can pay off your debt faster. That's going to be 5 steps right there. I'm going to give you 10 ways to build up your payments because yes, you can earn more, and I'll mention some ways you can do that, but you have to somehow find money to be able to pay more and snowball that away. And I'll get into the details with that vocabulary, snowballing. And then finally, apps and tools that make things easier because we all have more important things to do. We have more important things to worry about. So if there's an app or a tool that can help you, I want to let you guys know about it. You can try it out and see if it fits your personality. And if it does, great, you have a system in place. And if it doesn't, you can try something else. So why don't we get started? And I want to go over the 5 major steps when it comes to getting out of debt. The first one is know your number. The second is we're going to review the major strategies to get out of debt. And then as a couple, I want you to choose the method that's best for you. And that's something we'll get into a little bit later, but what works for one couple might not work for the other. And then I want you to boost your payments to make sure that you are speeding things along. I want you to have some wins. I want you to stay motivated and stay focused till all that debt's gone. And then finally, make it automatic as much as you can. So what do I mean by that? Why don't we start off with the first step? First step is know your numbers. You can't quit unless you know how deep in the hole you are. Um, One tool I use is Personal Capital. There are also options like Mint. You need a budget, every dollar. The point is, what you want to do is log into the accounts you have. Now, I mentioned some. You have credit cards, you have your car loan payment, if you have student loans, store loans, whatever you have, list it in. You can use any of those apps I mentioned, or you can put it on a spreadsheet. And you want to know this number because you need something to measure against. And of course, if you don't know how much you're going to, how deep in the hole you are with something, you can't fix the problem. And it's going to be vital because we have to talk about how do you get out of debt because there's two major strategies with that. And most of it kind of boils down to either you are attacking your debts by the interest rate or you're attacking the debts by the balance. So let me describe this a little bit more because they seem very similar. But if you're not familiar with it, they can have drastic results depending on your personality and how you guys are trying to get out of debt. The first one is by the interest rate. And this is the financially sound on paper one because you don't want to pay a penny more in interest than possible. So what you would do is you would take all your debts and you would list it by the interest rates. And then when you look at the other option, which is by balance, you are actually going for psychological wins. That's the key with that one. You're going to list them out by smallest to largest, and that's the order you're going to attack it in. And the two ways you can do that is um, using actually the major way to do that, sorry, is you pay the minimums on all of your debts but one. And that helps because sometimes you have an extra $200, but you're putting $5 here, $10 here, extra 50 bucks, and you're not seeing any progress. So by focusing on one debt at a time, whether it's interest rate or it's by balance, you're going to see some progress. Now, with the interest rate, yes, if you look at the numbers and the spreadsheet, you will be paying less money. The downside is for some people, they might have a huge debt with a high interest rate, and it feels like they're getting nowhere, and they get discouraged by that. And if that's someone, if that's your personality, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want you to be aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are. Now, for the other side of the coin, where you're looking at the balance, you're going to be attacking just that smallest balance you have. And it can be anything. It can be something you owe a family member. It could be a small store credit card, whatever. You knock that out. And then the money that you were sending to that card or to that debt, you roll it over, and that's the same whether you use the interest rate method or if you go ahead and use the balance method. Once you pay off a debt, you take that payment that you were making and you roll it into the next debt that you do have until it's all knocked out, except for the house. Um, and then you need to sit down because I had just given you kind of the pros and cons for both of them. Each of you might have your own preference. And as a couple, this is something you should be united on. Um, and as a rule of thumb, I hate giving like hard and fast rules, but as a general rule of thumb, I would say start off with the balance if you guys can't agree on how to tackle it and see if that is motivating enough for you to stick with it. Because to me, it's more important that you guys stick with a plan than being a stickler on what plan you choose. And so, why don't we talk about finding extra money? Because that's something, I mean, if you can get a raise tomorrow with your manager, go for it. Or if you want to start a business, and I highly suggest you do have another income stream, definitely go for that because that money you can dedicate it towards paying down that debt. But if this is something where you don't have an immediate way to earn more money, why don't we talk about how you can cut back in your budget without living like a pauper? So there are a couple ways to do this. Some people like to do with small incremental changes. You might call it the latte factor, and that's great. I think you should look at, again, what works for you. But I'm going to start off actually with big ways to save. And so the three biggest expenses that we have is where we live, typically food and transportation. For most people, moving right away isn't an option, but I do want to put that out there because it is a huge expense for many couples, for families. If you are renting and your lease is coming up, look for areas in the city where, one, it's still convenient for you to work and be around the places and people you hang out with the most, because that'll cut on the transportation costs. Uh, still safe, but the rent is lower. And if you are in the market for a house, this was something that we really researched, and we were able to get a great deal, and the savings was tremendous. So, please do your homework with that. That being said, people usually can't make that change right away, whether you're renting or buying, but that's something to consider. The next one, let's look at transportation, is there are ways for you to cut back. Carpooling to work, that's an option. If you are about to pay off your car loan or you're close to it, I highly suggest, please do not take out another car loan. That's another obligation. It'll keep you in that loop of debt. Also, if you want to look for ways to save on gas, I have a post. If you put save on gas on couplemoney.com, it basically shares how we were able to slash our gas bills. And also by getting a better location and hanging around, finding a spot where we hang around the most. I only fill up my gas tank like once every 3 weeks, usually, unless I'm going on a trip. So that's been big savings right there. And then the next area is food. And I know some people are very picky about how much they're going to brown bag it. But I'm going to start off with suggesting at least bring in your food to work or wherever every other day. It's a small change, but it can add up quickly. It also gets you into a habit. A suggestion to kind of beat the whole I don't want to bring a sandwich to work is doing crock pot dinners. and make it large enough so you can take some of it the next day. They usually hold up really well. You can heat it up in the microwave at work, and you are cutting back what, $10 a meal? And if you do it 2 or 3 times, that's 20 to 30 bucks. That's 100. Um, I mean, you're talking about 80 to 120 and put towards a debt and pay it off this year. So sounds like a small change, but it can actually pay off dividends. Also, if you have anything already in your closet you're thinking of donating or giving away, see if you can sell it first. You might be able to make some cash, maybe not what you paid for it, but that extra money with a yard sale, Craigslist, eBay, can, again, that money gets used to pay down your debt. And you want to pay as much as possible towards those debts. You want to get those wins. And this is also an added benefit because there's a cost to maintaining. And you might find by decluttering and cleaning out your closets, you're actually not needing as big of a space. So, kind of go back to that, where you live is a big expense. So if you can unclutter and downsize smartly, this can be a huge win for you guys. Um, know your happy hour specials. I'm going to be a little different than some financial gurus. I'm not going to say completely cut out going on dates or going out, period. I'm saying, why don't you be smarter about it? Make it early dates, go for the happy hour specials. And so you still maintain some of that fun and enjoyment, which can keep you motivated, but you're still spending less. And the money you save, I want to make sure that you put that towards the debt. Don't go out more. Just make sure you use that money for a good cause. Also, if you are a gym member or a rec center member, look at those subscriptions that you have and see if you really need to continue them. Those are kind of like small expenses, but they add up. Now, what you could decide to do is, okay, we're going out to the movies less, so why don't we instead make it a habit to go to the gym? In that case, if the gym membership is worth it, and you guys got to be honest with yourselves, is the cost of it really worth it? Or can you guys do something like going to the park, hiking more, biking? Every area has their own unique kind of recreational activities that are free and cheap, and I highly recommend that you take advantage of them. And then if you want to try to kind of do a no spend month, I always say you can do almost anything for a month. I don't think most couples are eager to do a no spend year. I don't think that's a bad thing. But if you can cut back and kind of make it a challenge game, see how much money you can save in 30 days. It can definitely kind of alter the course of the year for you. It can alter your finances. You can have some huge wins with that. And then it also gets you used to the idea of we don't need to spend money to have fun. And if you are uh, noticing that you have high interest with your credit cards, something you could do is see if you can get a balance transfer to a lower interest rate. Now, I'm not saying open a new account. I feel that kind of defeats the purpose when you're focusing on getting out of debt. But if you have a credit card with a lower balance, you might want to do that. Or, and I highly recommend trying this out, talk to your local bank or credit union. And I like smaller banks and regional credit unions because I feel like they give better service and sometimes really good rates. And if they're looking out for you, definitely try them out. See if you can get a way to consolidate your debts into a lower interest rate, or at least kind of just switch over some of it if you have a very high interest, very fee happy credit card. Um, you want your money working for you. So try to kind of skip out on the people that are draining you and see if you can start moving your money towards institutions that can help you out. And speaking of just looking at the budget, one huge bill that I've seen people save a lot of money is cell phones. Now, it used to be tell everybody cut the cord with cable, and I do think you should at least check that out and see if that's an option for you. There are Netflix, Hulu, Sling TV offers some great packages on that. So cable bill, you can cut down. And then cell phone bill to me seems like the new thing to examine. I had someone just email me, and they're paying $140 for 2 lines with data that they don't use as much, and texts and minutes, and it's insane. I have two very good options for you guys to consider. One, who I use, is Republic Wireless. They have some great plans. You, I have two phones. I just switched over my work phone to a $25 a month. You know, I get the text, I get the data, I get the minutes, and I get a refund. Yeah, you heard me right. For the data I don't use, I get a refund. And they are able to do this because they use Wi-Fi and cell technology. So when I'm at home or I'm out, there's a lot of Wi-Fi spots. So the smartphone is very smart. Takes me, it makes no difference compared to a regular cell phone. Like, I don't notice a difference with the calls, but I do notice a difference in my bills. So I have had 2 lines, and it's just ridiculous. I just switched over. So the last one was $38. And I am just amazed how cheap it is. But I will include a link if you want to in the um, description below, so you can check it out and see if that's an option for you. And they have some great phones. I also want to highly recommend Ting. My friends use them. They love them. And what you do is you build your own plan. So if you're more of a text person, you don't use that many minutes or that much data, you can adjust it and you can save a considerable amount. Like I mentioned, someone emailed me today, gave me some basic info about how they use their phone. I was able to find on Ting something for $45 for 2 lines. So you're talking about like 140, 145 for 2 lines versus 45. That's $100 a month savings. You know, what could you do with that? You could really pay down a debt faster. You can save an emergency fund. There's so much you can do with that. And I know I mentioned 10, but I kind of got on a roll and I was trying to figure out, so I wrote some notes down. I hope you don't mind if I give you extra. Um, with food, also look at your diet. Meat is expensive. I'm not saying go vegetarian. If you want to do that, that's fine. But consider maybe going for less meat with the meal, but maybe more high quality meat. And we've done this. Um, our meals are like 50% vegetables. Then you have, the meat, the potatoes or whatever. And then we found that we cut our grocery bills considerably just with cutting down on meat. So simple change, but your quality of life is still there. You're still having fun, enjoying it. Cooking more at home, because I mentioned the crock pot. If you hate to cook, if you absolutely find it annoying, get a crock pot. And there are numerous books you can get at the library for free. If you want to pick it up at the bookstore, Amazon, go for it. I'll put some recommendations down. Um, Lauren Grootman has a ton of slow cooker meals. She even has like the meal plan, like taking you to the store shopping list. Uh, Considerable way to save. I've used her system as for my backup meals because we all have those days. I don't want to cook. He does not want to cook. We are tired. We've had a long day. And I already had a meal prepped because I did that meal plan. All I do is to take it out the freezer and I warm it up. It's kind of like a freezer meal, but a much healthier, bigger savings. So I'm not saying you have to cook every day, but if you can find a way to make things easier for you and save money and eat better, go for it. Those are big savings there. Also, $5 meal plan. I haven't tried myself, but I've heard wonderful things about that. So there are so many options if you put meal plan where you can go and get some great deals. And right now it's winter time, but when the spring picks up, look at CSA's produce delivery systems in your area. More and more cities are getting them. You can get some affordable deals on them. And what I like about this is I eat more seasonally, and because the items in the box are seasonally, they're usually cheaper than what I get at the store, because I'm getting it through the CSA, but it's more direct with the farmer. So I'm eating better, I'm saving more money, and I'm also helping out with the community. So I think that's a win-win-win-win. And instead of like going out to do things, see if you can have a night in. For example, going out to movies can be fun, but it can also be expensive and it's not quite the experience that you want it to be. Why don't you have a movie in? If it's just the two of you, that's fantastic. If you want to have some friends over and make it a potluck, you can have a wonderful evening, still have fun, and save a ton of money. And then, let's see what over here. Uh, Generics and store brands are your friends. So whether it's prescriptions, store foods, I'm not saying go for low quality. I I hate disgusting food. I hate cheap food, and you can almost taste it as soon as you open up um, the food or the meat. It's just no, I don't want to do that. But I am saying double check and experiment with different brands to see if you can save money and still get high quality food. Some stores like Aldi's actually have some fantastic deals, and the food is really good, high quality. So check in your area. Every region has kind of their own supermarkets and stores, but that's something to consider when you're going out for grocery shopping and also for prescriptions. And talk to your doctor about that. And you see those commercials that say, if you can't afford your medicine, AstraZeneca can help. See if there's any programs, if you have prescriptions that you have to fill, but your budget's kind of tight. Is there a way for you to get them cheaper and get the medicine you need? Again, talk to your doctor first. Make sure that everything's on the up and up. And you might be able to save up some money with that too. And then last, I was talking with my husband because we have the flex spending account, is getting my glasses filled. I use any optical. And then also, if you have contacts, there's so many different sites out there. See if you can find a great deal for your contacts and your glasses. I'll try to include some links. Actually, if you go to my site and put glasses or contact lens, you should find the article in there. And that's what it is. It's basically like looking at your bills and seeing, are there smarter ways to be spending your money? And you might go, okay, well, I only can save 50 bucks here. I might be able to save 20 bucks here. But you do 50, look, you do 5 items where you only save 20 bucks. That's an extra $100 a month. So it really does pay to kind of sit down and talk and see what works for you. And so now that we kind of talked about some apps, some resources to check out, and ways to save, I definitely want you to make it automatic. So we talked about, okay, you're saving 100 bucks a month. As soon as you like set things up to save, go ahead, log into your bank and automate those payments. So say if I cut my cable bill down and maybe I just used the internet and it was 100 bucks, now it's 50. As soon as you get off the phone, I'm not kidding, as soon as you're off the phone, go ahead and put that into your account and then direct it towards that bill that you decided, whether it's interest rate first or if you go by the balance first. Make sure those payments are made. It's called failure of the last mile. You did all this work, you're saving all this money. Don't let that money save disappear in your budget. You want to make sure that that money saved is actually used for what you need it to do. So I hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I know there's a slight delay, but I want to make sure that this is as helpful as possible for you. And also, if you have any suggestions for a future Q&A session, please let me know. I want to be helping you out at your most pressing money problems. I want to help make 2017 your best year ever. And so with that, I kind of want to close out with a really good reminder. If you need a blueprint for either paying down debt, maybe you want to save more, or maybe you guys want to have better talks about money, or if your parents better talks with the kids about money, I highly suggest, if you haven't already, please sign up for the New Year, New You Financial Summit. It is free to register and to watch 20 sessions. We have 20 plus financial experts, all these different sessions. We're going to talk to people who have been there and done that, people who've dumped six figures of debt. I mean, over $100,000 of debt. We're going to be talking about how to retire early. Um, I talked to Justin from Root of Good. He laid it out. How did they save money? How did they invest in it? And now he retired when he was 33. That was a couple years ago. So if this is something that you're interested in, please sign up. Like I say, it is free to watch that week. That's January 9th to the 13th. But we do need to save you a spot. So you do have to register. All you have to do is go to couplemoney.com/new year, new you, or you can look at the description below. I'll have the link and you can go ahead and register. And thank you again for joining us. I'm going to do more of these Q&As, but I need your help. What money question do you want me to answer? I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.